Yes, we're going to test Blazor applications with Playwright. My name is Debbie O'Brien. I'm a senior program manager at Microsoft. I'm working on Playwright, advocating for Playwright. And I have with me
Max Schmitt, and I'm a senior software engineer in the Playwright core team. And today we are showing you how to test Blazor applications with Playwright for .NET.
And that's us running in Berlin because we get so much time to do sport because our tests run so fast. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so for those that don't actually know what Playwright is, Max, how would you define Playwright?
Now, Playwright is a very modern end-to-end testing framework to test modern web apps, and you can do it in any browser, any platform, any language you want. Like we are available in Node.js, we're available in Java and Python, and obviously where we are focusing today in .NET. And any browser. What does it mean, Debbie? It means like we are available in Chromium, in Firefox, and WebKit. So for Chromium, this means you can use us in Microsoft Edge, you can use us in Google Chrome, and any Chromium-based browser. So you can test Android applications, you can test WebView 2 applications, and you can test also Opera and so on. For WebKit, for example, yeah.
If you're on a Windows computer, you can test WebKit Safari, right?
Yes, WebKit Safari. So usually if you're a QA tester and you're usually on Windows, it's hard to test WebKit. It's hard because WebKit is only available inside Safari normally. But with us, you can either do manual testing in WebKit, but you can also do automated testing by writing Playwright scripts for end-to-end testing.
Excellent. And Playwright runs in full isolation. Now, how I define this is I write one test and then I write another test and nothing leaks in from one test to the other. How would you define isolation?
Good point. Isolation is like from other end-to-end testing solutions. Usually after each test or after each test file, you restart the browser, right? And restarting the browser takes a lot of time, usually between 1 and 3 seconds. And what Playwright does differently is we have this concept of browser context. A browser context is an in-memory browser profile, which is fully isolated from other browser contexts. And each of the browser contexts has pages underneath. So you can easily represent multi-role testing scenarios by using multiple browser contexts. For example, you can log in on one page with your admin account and on the other page with a user account, and then write an end-to-end test and test against these both roles at the same time.
Which is kind of really cool, and it kind of makes sure that there's no flaky tests, which means your tests are going to pass and you can have a great weekend, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So none of these tests then depend on each other since every test gets a different browser context. And that's available in all 3 browsers.
Excellent. And one of the things I notice when I run my Playwright tests is that they are super, super fast, right? But how is it so fast? What's going on behind the scenes?
So good point. So why are we fast? We mostly explain it by saying this concept of auto-waiting. Playwright has auto-waiting by default. This means when you have, for example, you click on a button, Playwright not simply clicks and then fails if the element is not there. Playwright essentially performs a variety of different steps. So first, for example, we wait until the element is there. Then we make sure that the element is visible, that the element is stable, which means it's not running any animations or something like that. We make sure that the element is clickable in the end, and we also make sure that the button is enabled. And all these steps will perform until the timeout is reached, so you don't have to rely on time.sleep like compared to other solutions.
That's cool. Less work to do. Tests run parallel, run super fast. Everything is fantastic. And we also have very powerful tooling. Now, I'm going to share my favorite tooling, which is my favorite feature is Codegen. Max, what do you think of Codegen? Like, just look at this, right? Basically, with Codegen, I can set up like my application here, right? I've got this to-do app and I can literally start writing into that to-do. I'm going to write some tests, then I'm going to do the washing. And as I'm writing the test, you can see over here in the inspector window, my test is being created for me. I'm not writing any code. I'm literally clicking like what the user would do. And right before my eyes, that test is being created for me. And I can then copy it and put it into my editor. I mean, that is cool, Max. What do you think?
Definitely. So you don't have to worry about finding the right selectors. It will all automatically generate it for you.
It's amazing. I love it. It's my favorite. What's your favorite tool?
My favorite tool is Playwright Tracing. Let us show it to the users. So Playwright Tracing is a tool to essentially debug Playwright tests which run anywhere. For example, inside the cloud, which means on your CI. Playwright Tracing will, on the left side, list all the Playwright steps which got performed, like a fill, a press, a click, or whatever. And it will show us a small timeline at the top. And the most powerful thing, it will not show only a video or a screenshot, it will show you a snapshot of the site. So you can use Chrome DevTools to take a look at the snapshot. You can take a look at the CSS and the DOM structure before, during, and after a certain action. And on the right side, you will have a lot of debug information available. So all the arguments you pass to the call, and you see console, network, and also the source. So it will all the way down to the C# code, like which line performed which step.
It's very cool. Like we recommend running this on CI when the test fails, but I love actually running it in development when I'm developing because I just get to see what's going on. It's kind of cool.
Definitely.
So Max, let's talk about Playwright and .NET. What is the .NET experience like in what's the Playwright experience like in .NET?
So you can use Playwright with .NET in, as of today, 3 ways. So you can either consume it as a library, so you can write your own scripts, you can write your own .NET run programs, you can use it anywhere, like in .NET 6, 5, or .NET 4.8, but you can also use it with our available MS tests and NUnit integrations. And MS Test, speaking of that, that's the integration where we are focusing on today, and we are writing a small test today.
Yes, I love seeing live demos. Let's do it. What are we going to test?
Let me share my screen at my terminal. So here we have a small terminal, and let's scaffold
Where do we start?
Let's scaffold a new MS Test project by saying like .NET new MS Test, and let's call this folder maybe Playwright test.NET Conf. And what this gives us is a new MS Test project inside a Playwright test.NET Conf directory. And we can open this folder once it's generated in our favorite editor, in our case, this one here, in our case, VS Code. So let's open it.
So hang on a second. We're working with .NET in VS Code. Can we do that?
Yes, absolutely. So there are extensions available for any language in VS Code and for C# as well.
Amazing.
So let me open it in full screen here. So as this project file got here generated and a small basic unit test and some global usings. The first step, what we want to do with this basic MS Test project is to install Playwright, right, Debbie?
Yeah, I mean, can't run the test if you don't have Playwright.
Yes. So let's install it. So it's essentially this. So this will install 2 things. It will first install Playwright, and it will also install the MS Test integration. And let's make sure that the project still builds. And then we can
does it install the browsers as well?
By default, not. So okay. Good point. Playwright is structured in a way that you need to install the library or like the stuff, how you consume it, and you need to install the browsers. The way how you install browsers is like in .NET that you have this bin directory, and there you have this powerful Playwright CLI. We will see it later. It's the way how you launch Codegen and how you, for example, open WebKit on Windows. But it's also the way how you install the browsers. So we can do this here. Let's see, it's a bit hanging here. Let me open my new terminal. Maybe that helps. A lot of things are running on my machine.
Installing our browsers, right? And which browsers are we going to get installed by default? Does it install all of them?
So by default, it will install all the 3 browsers, which means like a Chromium, a Firefox, and a WebKit. I executed it here, so you see, and it was pretty fast, right? Because the browsers are already there. So this is a step you need to do on every CI run, or once you have installed it on your machine. So cool. Let's write our first test. Let's see. We have here our unit test. Let's jump straight over to the docs and grab here our example test, which we can run for this demo. Let's copy it in here. and fix the usings a bit and run this.
Okay, so this is a nice easy test where we're basically going through the documentation site, the main page. We're looking for the Get Started button. We're going to click that Get Started button and it's going to go to the intro page. Simple as that.
Yes, and it's making sure that the title is correct and the URL is correct, right?
Yeah.
So we executed it here with a .NET test, and
it already passed.
It said passed. Debbie, did you see a browser?
I didn't see anything, like literally, no, there's no browser.
Is it fake? Do you think it's fake?
I mean, I wouldn't trust it. Would you trust it? I mean,
No,
I know I
no,
write
no.
great code, but I don't trust that.
Definitely not. So let's try to make it headed. Headed is essentially the way how we launch it with a graphical user interface. By default, they are launched headless. So to do this, you can specify here this .NET setting by setting playwright.launchOptions.headless, and we set it to false. And then we should see a browser. Let's see.
Okay.
There is a browser.
Go.
This was quick, Debbie, right?
I mean, it was too fast, right? I have no idea what went on.
Yeah, let's make it a bit slower. So,
oh my God, our tests are so fast that we're going to slow them down. Is that what you're saying?
yes, only to see that something is happening. So I set here the slow-mo to 1000, and this should run it again and delay every action by 1000 milliseconds.
Just to prove to me that the test works. I like it. I like it.
Yes.
So now it's going to go slow, obviously, which is what we want. And here we go. We've got our browser. We clicked and we went to that page. Perfect.
Yeah, still pretty fast. Anyways, cool. So you can run it in different browsers as well. You can, for example, here saying playwright.browser name. Should we run it in Firefox or in WebKit, Debbie?
Oh, let's do Firefox.
Firefox, okay. Let's say playwright.browser name Firefox and execute the same. And this will essentially spawn a Firefox instance. Nice. Here we go.
Look at that. You can see the difference in the browser. It was very fast, but I saw it.
Yeah. We can first come to a little debugging utility and show that to them by saying await page.pause async. What this does, it will pause the test execution. So you can debug it by using DevTools, by seeing the logs, seeing the Playwright actions, and you can also step through them.
Which is kind of nice. So if you do have any errors, you can go through it step by step and figure out what's going on.
Yes.
Excellent. So this is going to launch up my browser. And from there, I'm going to see the browser, but I'm also going to see the inspector like the Codegen, right?
Yes, you should see it. Let me, we're all up to date for restore.
And would this be considered your most favorite debugging way? Because there's a couple of ways, right? We've got page.pause, but we also have the PW debug. What's the best way to debug?
The best way to debug, it depends where you run it, right? If you run it remotely, then using Playwright tracing. If you run it locally, using the built-in debugger. Let me remove it with Firefox. And yeah, Firefox is normally a little bit slower than Chromium.
Okay, so we're going to open this up and we're going to debug it. And well, we don't need to debug it because the test passes. And if this is not going to launch, then we'll go straight in and create a test. Because I'd like to see Codegen in action, even though I showed the video, but I want to see us actually build something.
Yes. So it seems like .NET has some problems here with launching. This might be all of this live stream software running on my machine. Let's try to jump straight into Codegen, Debbie.
Okay, so I want to create a new test. And this is our most favorite way of creating a test. Now, you could totally go to the file and just write all the code yourself. Like, totally okay to do that. But if you use Codegen, it's just going to save you a lot more time. It's going to make your life more easier, and it's going to help you choose the right selectors. So you don't have to think like, which one am I meant to use? Which one is the best one? Because Codegen will give you all that for you out of the box, right?
Yes, yes. So to launch Codegen is the same as how you install the drivers. Let me maybe unplug this external monitor, then it should be probably a bit faster.
See, live coding, this worked so well 10 minutes ago. And you live code and look what happens. Always fun. Okay, so we're going to try again to launch Codegen. And yeah, new terminal. And here we go. So yeah, we can launch Codegen, and you can choose between the different, between the library, right? And between NUnit and MS Test. Am I right?
Yes, you can.
So while that's launching, if this doesn't launch, then Will can just push that test because we've already created a test. So we can push that test to GitHub and run it on CI. Should we go ahead and do that, or we see if streaming live demo continues to cause us issues?
Something is happening.
Oh, it's happening. It's happening. Look at that. The external monitor. It was all the external monitor's fault. Okay, so we have a browser window. That's what gets launched. And we have the inspector window. That's great. We've zoomed in there. Excellent. So we've now gone to that page, .NET Podcasts site, because that's what we put in the terminal. So now we can start writing our test.
This one is Blazor based, right? This one is Blazor based, so it's all available on GitHub.
Okay, so let's write a test, Max.
Yeah, so what we see on the right is Codegen, right? You can select your target here. In this case, we want to use MS Test. Let's do this. This will give us a small test. So, and let's write a small test by, let's see, going here a little bit more down. While we hover over these elements, it will show you all these selectors, as you can see. Let's go first to discover more. And then we see a lot of podcasts, right? For example, Hello World and Maui and ASP.NET Monsters, all are pretty interesting. Debbie, what's your favorite podcast?
I mean, .NET Rocks by Richard Campbell, of course.
Very nice, very nice.
Well, did you know we have a Playwright one on there?
I did not. That's cool. And let's make an end-to-end test. Let's say we want to make sure that this text is there, right? Let's click on it. So for the future, for later, the selectors are there. We will later transform it into actual assertions. And let's make sure this listen later feature works. So I've seen that on this site, a new feature got introduced recently. You can go to each podcast and you can click here on this listen later thing. And
exactly, because we're at a conference, so we don't have time to listen to this podcast right now. So you want to click on later, and then it should be in that listen later. But look, as you're hovering, right? I just want to pause there. Get by role, area role link, listen later. So it's giving you all that, and it's making sure your site is accessible, isn't it?
Exactly. So by default, it's using these area role selectors, which are basically actionability selectors. So if you go to listen later, then we want to make sure this podcast is there, right? So let's click on it again.
Sure do.
To have here these clicks, and that's all what got generated. We can open it here to see it. So we go into the site, and then we are click on Discover More and the .NET Rocks podcast. Then we have these two clicks, which we want to convert into assertions. And we click on this Listen Later, and then we are going on the Listen Later tab on the actual site. And then we actually want to make sure, again, it's there. So let's copy this and make it a real test. Let's go back into VS Code. So let's close Codegen and paste our test in. Let's close this and make it a real test. Let's say this here.
So now what we want to do is make sure, like the headings, because the user's not going to click on that heading to make sure .NET Rocks exists. That heading, we want to put an assertion and say, expect that to be visible on the page, right?
Exactly. And each assertion, each expect statement, like we have a lot of assertions available, as you can see here. So to be checked, disabled, empty, like for us, it was important to be visible. You can also use to be hidden, and you can negate them with dot not as well. So let's use here to be visible. They will retry, like these are async expects, right? Async assertions. So they will retry over and over again, either until the condition is met or until the timeout is reached. So let's do the same here and then see if our test passes.
I mean, it should pass because Codegen wrote it, so it should be fine, but you never know, especially since we made some changes. Got to make sure it actually works.
Yes. So
And what I love about the locators here, while you're running that test, I'll just explain. We had like get by role headings. So it was very easy for us to go over the headings to make those an assertion. We know that the link, that's a click event, so we leave that one. So it's really easy to kind of modify those tests. And for someone new to testing, this is such a great way to get started.
it is. So you never have to worry about these selectors. They are all generated for you.
This is why I told you, Codegen is my favorite feature. I love it.
And here you see past one.
Oh, it passed. And I didn't see anything because it was running headless, right?
Yes.
So this is amazing.
So what do we do next, Debbie?
I mean, obviously, like I want to make sure that everyone can listen to .NET Rocks and listen to my podcast and that test works and nobody comes along and breaks my code. So I don't want to run that test locally. I want to run it on CI. And we have an option for that. And I don't know how much time we've got to get it up and running, but I think we already created one and we pushed it to GitHub. Am I right, Max?
We did. Let me quickly open this so we can take a look. So let's open GitHub. Here we are. And let's open my account.
We're using GitHub, right? But it works on all CIs. So, you can run your tests on any CI that you want, but we like GitHub. So we're going to run it on GitHub just by using a GitHub Actions.
Exactly. So, and here we have our .NET Conf demo. And this is essentially the same as we had before. We have our unit test one, and it's essentially the same script. But what we added is like we first pushed it to GitHub, and the second is we added a GitHub action. And the GitHub actions are placed in the .github workflows folder. And here we do what we did before. We install the browsers and we run the test with .NET Test. And this means for every commit to your main branch and for every PR, it will run the tests. And these are like best practices you want to have inside a modern web application. So here you see it, test, and passed one.
So if this test failed, you'd actually be able to go in here, see the log, and be able to kind of say, right, I'm not going to accept that pull request because that test failed. And yeah, then it's a lot easier to make sure that, nobody's going to break your site, right?
Exactly. Once you change your Blazor site, then this GitHub check, they call it, will go red. And you can set up branch protection rules to not allow, for example, red status checks before merging them.
Excellent. I mean, Playwright has everything. I think it's just an absolutely amazing tool to help you test your Blazor applications. And I think that's pretty much all from us. Am I right, Max?
This is right. So for any further questions, go ahead, check out the documentation. We have them for writing, running, generating them, for debugging them in the cloud, and for using them with MS Test and NUnit. And we have a lot of guides as well, which cover a lot of scenarios.
Excellent. So this has been so much fun. The .NET experience with Playwright is absolutely amazing. Back to you, Richard.